Okay, for this part 2 of this image or project, I want to go in and clean up my layers. And to do that, I'm going to delete layer 0 copy and layer 0 by dragging it down to my trash can on my layers panel. Okay. Then I'm going to rename the layer by double clicking on it. You got to double click on the text. Don't double click on the thumbnail, double click on the text. I'm going to type in model. I'm going to press my enter key to accept. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and select the eyeglasses here, and we're going to change its color. Now we're going to use a different selection technique, and it's called the quick mask mode that they talk about in the book. So the quick mask is basically you're actually, it's kind of like a layer mask, but you're painting a selection in, and you're going to be using two colors, black or white. Black or white. Now, it uses your paintbrush tool, so because you're painting a color in. And what I want to do here, you got to go to the quick mask mode, and it's right below the black and white foreground colors, or your basically your foreground background colors. I'm going to click on it, and this goes into, and if you look up my tab up here at the top, it says quick mask. Okay, I have my paintbrush selected. I have a 13 pixel brush, and I have black as the foreground color. And when I start painting, you'll see that red starts to come up. Now if you have to zoom in, I might zoom in just a little bit more so I can see the area. And if you need to reduce your size of your brush, you can do so. Now what's this doing is basically when you paint in black, you're adding to the mask, which is hiding your selection. When you paint in white, you're adding to the selection. Now what we're doing here is a little trick. We're basically not selecting the eyeglasses, and we're using it to go in to make it a little bit easier to select, because I'll show you the trick here in just a second. I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to click on my standard mode button. That's the same button we click on quick mask. Notice how the marching ants goes around the whole image? That's because the mask is hiding the selection here. So what we're going to do now in the steps is go up to select and choose inverse. Now the frame, the glasses itself, is selected. It's a neat little trick. Sometimes what we'll do is we use that quick mask to go in and select an area when we're not really selecting it, but adding to the mask itself. And then when we go back to standard mode, we just do a select inverse, and then that object is selected. Now once we have inverse, then we can go up to image adjustments, and then we can choose hue and saturation. The hue and saturation dialog box allows you to change the color. So here we can change the hue, and you can see my sunglasses or my prescription glasses is changing. I click OK. I go up to select, deselect, and you got a nice green tint to your glasses. Now a new feature that was added a couple versions ago is the puppet warp command. And the puppet warp allows you to go in and bend objects in Photoshop. Just like a puppet. You can go in and change its arms, have it move up, move down, wave at you. Now, what you have to do here, once to reposition this, you have to use what we call a grid, and we have to place what we call our pins on this grid, because we want certain areas to be stationary and then the other areas to be able to bend at will. So with the model layer selected, which I have over here, see it's in blue, active, I'm going to go up to Edit, Puppet Warp. It automatically adds this grid around here, this little mesh over the visible areas. It's automatically going to add it to where there's visible in that layer. It's going to add that mesh. Now we need to place the pins in. And what we want to do is we want to click around the edges of the shirt. Each time you click, it's going to add a pin as we work with this. And the pin is going to go in and if you want to zoom in, I suggest zooming in more on this if you want to get to it. I'm going to put one way over here. Okay. You can also, oops, then start moving it already, which is kind of cool. So we want to keep the shirt down here in place because what we're going to do is we're going to move the head so it's bending backwards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and click on this pin that's up here by the neck. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to hold my Alt key. A larger circle is going to appear. So you can see that, and my mouse becomes, you have to come outside the actual dot itself. A curved double arrow appears as well. Holding down my Alt key, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate around to the right, and up on my options bar, up here where it says rotate, you can actually type in that amount, or just go in, and we want it to go to 135 approximately. If you're a little bit off, that's fine. Then I'm going to come over here and click on the check mark to accept it. Now notice how it's automatically moving the whole bottom part that we have there. The reason is that we didn't add points down here to the left or over here to the right. So if that's the case, undo what you did. You can take this fixed 0 back to 0. Okay, and then add more points. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up and click on this corner point here. I'll hold down my Alt key. I'm going to rotate around. Now notice how my head is adjusted, but my shirt is not being moved. So again, that's where those anchor points come in play, because if you don't want the shirt to move at all, and your shirt does move, then you did not put enough anchor points in to control it. Okay, that's the end of part 2. I'm going to save my work and work on part 3.